Stick welders are pretty stupid. It doesn't care if you've got a TIG torch or an electro holder on the end. As you can see, it's actually pretty easy to switch the leads and stick weld with a TIG torch. But now I'm actually going to show you the next step of TIG welding with this $70 welder. Hey, it passed the QC test, so I'm sure nothing can go wrong. That's not supposed to happen. What you'll need is an inverter welder, TIG torch, tungsten, and gas setup. I've got the LGBT Simder 160, one of the cheapest welders you can pick up from the Zon gods. Instead of using a stinger, which I'm not really sure why they call it that, you think a stinger would be more fitting for the TIG torch. But regardless, I picked up a 17V. The 17 is a very common size. It just designates how big it is. And the V designates that it has a valve right here, and that's because we are introducing argon gas, and you want to be able to shut it on and off just so then it's not continually running. Save that expensive gas. Now, most of these TIG torches come with, you know, some extra cups and collets and all that kind of stuff. You could go hog wild with stubby kits, Pyrex, all that. You know what? Let's forget about all that and just use what they give you. Now, something it probably doesn't come with is tungsten. It is a must. Now, tungsten is categorized by colors and types, and there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. And I think it'd probably be easiest just to show you this table right here and to point out that it doesn't matter the material that you're actually welding, but the polarity that you're running. As mentioned at the first, you'll need an inverter type welder or a DC output. And how can you tell? Well, first of all, okay, no, that's not an L on there. It is an I for an insulated gate bipolar transistor. And that's a really fancy name just for some circuitry that says it takes your house power, which is AC, inverts it into DC power. And the biggest giveaway, or maybe actually the smallest, is the size. Inverters are teeny compared to their older grandpa, you know, transformer type. The whole point of this entire rant was really just to say, get any color tungsten other than white or green. So just so you're not shell-shocked when you go out and buy a bottle, this thing will cost you, well, especially this size, will cost you more than all of these other parts combined. Now, gas bottles come in different sizes and flavors. TIG welding, you need 100% argon. Now, size, they have everything from a small little 20 cubic foot all the way up to 300 plus. My go-to size would be the 120, but it all depends on budget. To go along with gas, all welding supply shops carry regulators, but they are pretty pricey. They're nice, but you can get them a lot cheaper online. So most of them carry either a gauge style like this, where it has a couple gauges, or a flow meter style like this. Some people online claim that this is more precise and better. I haven't done enough testing to actually figure if that's all right. So in the comments, have at it. The TIG torch will come with a connection like this. Most of them are pretty universal. You simply just thread that onto the end of the flow meter or your gauges. Make sure it's nice and snug. Open the valve. As mentioned, this one shows the overall pressure in the tank. With the valve open, you can now adjust the flow meter. You'll want it to be about 15 CFH. TIG welding, you're going to run DCEN, which is your electro goes to the negative terminal. Yeah, the one with the minus sign. So if you were previously stick welding, switch those around. Sharpen your tungsten, assemble your torch, turn on your gas, and you're ready to, well, almost ready. Remember, the machine's stupid. You gotta treat it like an electro with stick welding. So you actually strike it just as you would a rod at stick welding to create your arc to get it going. Holy smokes, I forgot to talk about filler rod. Yes, it's going to be one other thing you need. I know you've seen it, all the videos. This is the stuff that people are actually adding or dabbing into the weld. The filler material needs to match the base material. Just start with steel. Don't go with aluminum or, you know, titanium, any of that kind of stuff. And really, if you're just starting out, pick up some 16th inch diameter ER70S. Simple as that, and that will get you going. I've got everything set up, ready to go, and if you've never TIG welded, this is not how it should be done. This is like a mini 4th of July fountain firework. And at first I was thinking that it might have been just the flow rate, so I upped that. I did another pass, it was the same deal, and well, do you remember at the beginning when I said you need 100% argon? You need 100% argon. 100%, yeah. Well, that's what I get for not checking. I had it hooked up to my mixed bottle of C25 for my MIG welder. Switched it out, and once I had adjusted the amperage back up, I finally got a good bead going. You'll notice as we're getting towards the end of the weld that there's no foot pedal or finger switch to turn it off. So you actually got to whip it kind of out of the way. Problem with that is, well, we've introduced argon to protect that weld, and whipped out of the way, there's no argon doing that. So you actually got to move it back into place for a couple seconds. As that weld is solidifying, it will protect that weld from the oxygen and everything, from porosity getting in it, to get you a good weld. I'd have to say, for dirt cheap, bare bones TIG welding, it actually did a pretty good job. It could definitely get you by in a pinch, and if anything, it was fun trying. That's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Don't be shy, leave a comment. We'll see you next time.